California backs down on requiring motorhomes from out of state to be smog tested. Boondocking areas are stretched to their limits. Will the feds introduce a new gas tax or perhaps a per mile tax on new cars? Will you need a vaccine passport to enter events and travel on airplanes? Rocky Mountain National Park will once again require reservations. A new best-in-class cell booster is introduced, as is the world's lightest truck camper. We're giving away a Dish satellite bundle and more. It's time for the latest in RV and camping news. I'm Jason Epperson, this is RV Miles, and here we talk about the latest in RV and camping news that you really ought to know about. And it's a big show today, we've got a lot to get to, so let's jump right in with something that we've been talking about for the past year, the coronavirus. The CDC's latest vaccine effectiveness data shows that people who have received a COVID vaccine are much less likely to transmit the virus. And that's big news for the travel industry, as it spurred the CDC to change its travel guidelines on Friday. The guidelines now state that fully vaccinated people should resume travel without the need to get tested or to self-quarantine. COVID cases are still raging throughout the country as vaccines roll out, but this news will fuel the fires of what is already shaping up to be an incredibly busy travel season. Airports and popular tourist destinations in the U.S. are already back to normal capacity, but the international hubs are still operating about 50% as business travel remains stunted, if it ever returns to what it was at all. A growing number of companies, from cruise lines to sports teams, say they will require proof of vaccines before allowing people to enter, which has caused state and federal governments to begin work on so-called vaccine passports that would allow people to show proof of immunity before boarding cruise ships, international flights, or getting into concert venues or baseball stadiums. New York has already released its app-based vaccine passport. You're not considered fully vaccinated until 2 weeks after receiving your full vaccine dose, including both shots of a 2-shot regimen. And the CDC still recommends the use of masks and social distancing by vaccinated people for the time being. Fuel prices have now held steady for about the last 3 weeks at about $2.86 for regular and $3.09 for diesel, with growing fuel demand being kept in check by growing refinery production. Thankfully, that container ship stuck in the Suez Canal for 6 days didn't disrupt oil shipping too much, but the full effects of the backup in one of the world's most important shipping lanes have yet to be felt. When the ship was freed, around 400 others were queuing to pass through the canal. This prevented $9.6 billion worth of trade. Many containers of all kinds of goods were stuck at sea, and surely many of those products were bound for RV manufacturers in Elkhart, Indiana, who have been dealing with a nightmare of supply chain issues this past year. And there's a finite amount of shipping containers in the world, so lots of goods have been waiting on containers to return back home to pack new shipments. It's a backlog that will continue for months in a global economy that has learned all about all kinds of weaknesses over the past year. The rise in fuel prices that began in November doesn't seem to be hampering many American travel plans. Around half of Americans are set to take a trip in the next 3 months, according to an analysis from the U.S. Travel Association, with 60% planning on driving somewhere over Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day weekend, or the 4th of July. And if you think boondocking is the solution, I'd like to read you this in-the-field report from YouTube viewer Round Peg. I'm in Zion now, well, BLM land outside of it near Laverkin. I've come here in the spring every year because it's not crowded. However, this year it took 4 days to find a vacant spot on BLM land, Bureau of Land Management. It is so crowded out here in the, quote, boonies, it's worse than a KOA. People are packed in here like sardines. As I write this, 2 of the rigs here have been running their construction generators all night. There was also a domestic fight at one rig, resulting in the wife shooting a gun into the air and the police surrounding the trailer to arrest her. Boondocking is ruined. Well, a new survey from RVLife.com says that 45% of campers that had started planning their 2021 travel have found difficulties finding campsites. Just over half said they would be booking more of their campground locations ahead of time than in previous years, and only 17% said that they would not be making more reservations than normal. In another survey organized by CampgroundViews.com, 2/3 of 2,000 campgrounds and RV parks stated that their advanced bookings are up 50% over average for the 2021 camping season. In fact, 24% of those are seeing advanced bookings up over 80% for the same period. But people aren't giving up on camping due to concerns over campground availability. Over 90% of those looking to purchase or upgrade an RV told RV Life that they were not dissuaded or concerned by the availability of campground locations and plan to continue with their RV purchase. It's not all bad news out there, and I don't like to sound like there is. There's still plenty of camping to be had. My advice to you right now is the same as it was 10 months ago. This is another year to explore the less popular areas in the United States. And be prepared for lots of cancellations. People tend to book way more than they plan to use, and they cancel when they get time off approved from their job or they finalize travel plans in other ways. This episode is sponsored by the Togo RV app. If you're looking for route navigation on your phone that takes into account the length and height of your RV, look no further than the Togo RV app, which also includes checklists, maintenance reminders, and recall alerts for your specific RV, and a whole lot more. The app is free, but a $39 per year Togo RV Plus membership gives you full access to the navigation features, plus my favorite road trip planning software, Road Trippers Plus. You can get $10 off with the code in the description below. Another YouTube viewer, David, did us all a favor and followed up on the story about the California Air Resources Board, or CARB, requiring large diesel motorhomes to have smog inspections to enter California, even if they're registered from out of state. David reached out directly to CARB and got the following response in an email that he shared with me and that I've confirmed. Since the December work group meeting, we've been revising the draft document and are now looking to exempt out-of-state motorhomes from the periodic testing requirements in response to a March 8, 2021 letter from the RV Industry Association, the National Association of RV Parks and Campgrounds, and Camp Cal Now, which is the California Campground Association. So that's excellent news that law will not be pushed forward in the way that it had been intended at the end of last year, and diesel motorhomes will not be required to have smog inspections before entering California. A number of RV Miles viewers, listeners, and readers have asked me to keep an eye on President Biden's new sweeping infrastructure bill, which was rumored to be flirting with a federal gas tax increase or even taxes on miles driven in a vehicle. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg confirmed to CNN on Tuesday that neither are part of the negotiations for the estimated $3 trillion to $4 trillion infrastructure bill. Several fires in the Rapid City, South Dakota area closed portions of I-90 and Mount Rushmore last weekend. So it's that time of year again. The fires have been mostly contained, and the National Monument has since reopened. Rocky Mountain National Park will again require reservations for entry this year, beginning May 28th. Park staff expect higher visitation this summer and continue to manage COVID-19 concerns. The park is also facing staffing shortages due to housing, reduced shuttle bus capacity, and residual fire impacts in some of the areas of the park from the historic fires last year. Permits issued using the reservation system will allow visitors to enter the park within a 2-hour window of availability. The reservation system will apply to all areas of the park, and the passes will cost $2 through recreation.gov, in addition to your standard park entrance fee. Reservations will go on sale at 8 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time on Saturday, May 1st for entrance from May 28th through June 30th. The next release will be on June 1st for the month of July, then July 1st for the month of August, and so on through October. 25% of permits will be held and available at 5 p.m. the day prior. Reservations will be limited to about 75% to 85% of the park's total parking capacity, which is more than were available last year, but less than obviously can fit in the park. The nation's largest RV dealership chain, Camping World, has acquired 3 more independent dealerships in the past week. By my count, that's 12 this year, in addition to the new stores it's building on its own. Maybe I need to begin having a Camping World acquisition counter somewhere. Wilson Electronics has announced the new WeBoost Destination RV, which they say is the most powerful cell signal booster now on the market. The Destination RV includes a powerful amplifier, a 65 dB antenna mounted to a 25-foot telescoping pole, and it's optimized for 5G from all major carriers. It retails for around $650 US. Hey, do you follow us on social media? We're doing a whole month of giveaways in April, and we're kicking it off with a fantastic bundle from our friends at Dish Outdoors. One lucky winner will receive a Dish package including a Playmaker portable satellite antenna, a Dish Wally HD receiver, a DVR drive, and more. You can enter in the link in the description, but make sure to follow RV Miles on Facebook and Instagram to hear about all of our April giveaways. There's some really good stuff coming this month. Hey, remember when mudrooms were all the rage in new housing? Well, now you can get one in a trailer. The Cougar 357 UMR from Keystone features a multi-purpose utility room with outside entry that has a desk, a washer-dryer hookup, and a pet-friendly utility shower. It's probably also good for your muddy kids. And finally, if you've really been wanting a truck camper, but your truck just can't carry the weight, well, maybe give this a try. An inflatable truck camper from Mitsubishi. It's 7 foot tall inside, can take a full-size mattress, and weighs in at under 60 pounds. That's it for this video. Make sure to hit the like button if you got some value out of it, and hit subscribe and the notification bell if you want to be notified every time we release a new video. Let's wrap this episode up with some comments from our latest news video. Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for getting us to 40,000 subscribers. It's a big milestone for us, and we're just aiming to get to 100,000 by the end of the year. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so and help us get there. Our Airstream Basecamp group had new owner reports of waiting for their new trailers as Airstream had a lack of sinks to complete trailer builds. Super common that something like that, something real basic, is holding up RV builds. And some manufacturers are putting something better in place. Some manufacturers are putting something worse in. So be on the lookout for that. Nicole says, I love that you talked about the impact of nature sounds on our health. I'm a therapeutic musician, and one of the things we do is match the frequencies of our instruments to those found in nature. It helps to alleviate pain, boost well-being, and much more. That sounds awesome, Nicole. Thank you. I wish I was paying the national average for gasoline. Here in Northern California, it's $3.90 a gallon. Thankfully, I do a lot of boondocking to offset the price. Thanks, Don. Does your gnome have a name? Ours is Sir Campsalot. Well, now Sir Campsalot's taken, I can't use it. No, our gnome doesn't have a name, but we ought to name it. If anybody's got a good idea to name our gnome, let us know. We'll see you on the next video.